Okay, today is Saturday, June, I believe it's 18th, and I had a tree fall down, about a 40 footer, not too fat of a tree, and of course we have an acre and a half, something like that here, so we have a lot of foliage and we're trimming trees. We have a large number of trees, as you can see, and burning wood can take some time. And I saw something on the internet. A fellow was starting up what he called an invert fire, which I found quite interesting, and the concept is that you put your big logs on the bottom. So what I did was I took sections, and as you can see on the bottom, there's 2 logs on the bottom, followed by another 2 logs, followed by another 2 logs. So that gave me 6 on the bottom. The second row, I just crisscrossed the pattern. Now I left a lot of air in there, and the concept is when you get to the top, I left the middle log in the top out to make a hole. And then I just put kindling in, took some dry lint and a couple of tea candles, and I got the top started with very fine kindling. Once I got the top started with the kindling, I started feeding it larger limbs that were dry. So in essence, what I'm trying to do is, if the fire starts on top, being that heat rises, it will suck the air from the bottom. And as it sucks the air on the bottom, it basically keeps itself going. And as you can see, this fire has been burning now for maybe 20 minutes. So I got the top going with a lot of kindling, and I fed it gingerly. The idea is that you feed it the kindling, and then when the kindling, the real super dry kindling, burns, it falls down between the cracks in the logs. And you can see I left, maybe 3 or 4 inches between the logs, and that's to allow the fire to draw up air to the top. And of course, when that air comes up, that's going to keep the fire at the top very hot. I added some larger, drier wood, and then some larger, drier wood. I had an old pressure-treated piece of wood that was buried for years, and I had cut that up, so I put that up there too. Probably not good for breathing, but I did it anyway. So that fire has been going for 20 minutes, and you can see what's happening is the fire from the top is dropping the kindling into the bottom, and the kindling is falling to the bottom, and therefore it's starting to burn the second level. And my hope is that that whole pile, which I think there's 14 logs in that pile, not counting the kindling, my hope is to create a very hot internal fire and have pretty much all those logs burn themselves. Now I stayed out here, and the reason is that I'm going to be adding some more kindling to make sure that center gets super hot. Also, this tree that had fallen was rotten at one point, so I'm sure that stuff is pretty dry. But as far as these type limbs, this tree fell back in May, and this is June. This tree fell about 6 weeks ago, so it still has some moisture content in, and I found that the moisture content on trees like that, they're very hard to burn. But what I also noticed is that if you get a hot enough fire, the fire will consume those too. So that's the whole idea. And I'm just going to stay here for a bit and keep it going. You can see down below how that fire has now gotten to the bottom. And as it gets to the bottom, it's going to have plenty of oxygen to pull from the sides, and then the upper logs will burn. And I'm going to tend this for a while, so I got a lot of scrap around it, and I don't want it to catch on to that, so I'll tend it. But that's the idea. It's called an invert fire. I got it off some fellow on the internet, and if I find his name, I'll post a link to that. But that's the concept, and we're always chopping and cutting wood, and we always have a pile, and this seems to be a really cool way to let nature take its course and take care of the fire for you. Again, it's called an invert fire. The heavy logs are on the bottom. When you put them, make sure you space them, because that has to suck that air in to feed the fire on top. And you can see what's happening now is those kindling on the top. See, I left the space there. The kindling on the top is falling into the middle, and the middle log is already very hot, and you can see down there that the fire is burning. So anyway, so that's called an invert fire. I tried it once with smaller wood, and it worked real well. I thought, what the heck, the tree, I don't want it hanging around here till next year, the season. So I decided to see if I can create a super hot fire and let things take care of themselves. This is Herb, and thanks for watching, and over and out.